Namaskar, my dear friends. Welcome to the lecture series of machine design. In our previous lecture, the gear design introduction part 2, you were studied about the different profiles of gear, law of gearing, and interference and undercutting of the gear, and minimum number of teeth required to avoid the interference. Now, here in this lecture, we are going to study about the design of spur gear and the design procedure of the spur gear. Now, let us see the content of this lecture is gear material, design considerations for a gear drive, beam strength of gear teeth, that is the Lewis equation, dynamic tooth load, static tooth load, wear tooth load. Now, before design of any component, the selection of material is very vital task for the design engineer. So in this case of the gear design, the material used for the manufacture of gears, it depends upon the strength and service conditions like wear, noise, etc. The gear may be manufactured from metallic or non-metallic material. The metallic gears with cut teeth are commonly obtainable in cast iron, steel and bronze. And the non-metallic material like wood, rawhide, compressed paper and synthesis resin like nylons are used for the gears, especially for the reducing noise. The cast iron is widely used for the manufacture of gear due to its good wearing properties, excellent machinability and ease of producing the complicated shape by casting methods. The cast iron gears with cut teeth may be employed where the smooth action is not important. Okay, and the steel is used for the high strength gears, and steel may be a plain carbon steel or the alloy steel. So the steel gears are usually heat treated in order to combine properly the toughness and tooth hardness. The phosphorus bronze is widely used for the worm gears in order to reduce wear of the worms, which will be excessive with cast iron or steel, right? So these are the different materials used for the gear design. Okay, so we have to select the proper material and we have to consider the different factors to select the gear material, and the different factors are the cost of the gears, okay, precision required and the applications of the gear. Okay, so these are the different factors that you have to consider for the selection of gear material. Then the next topic is the design considerations for a gear drive. Okay, so generally when you are designing any gear, then the different data or the different dimensions are given. The first is the power to be transmitted. The main function of the gear drive is to transmit the power and motion. Okay, so whatever the power is to be transmitted is given. On the basis of that, we have to design the gear, and also the speed of driving gear, the speed of the driven gear, or the velocity ratio, and center distance between the two gear, driver and driven. Okay, so accordingly, this we have to design the different gears. And which are the requirements? It must be met in the design of gear drive. So that requirements, the gear teeth, it should have sufficient strength so that they will not fail under static loading or dynamic loading during the normal running condition. Then the gear teeth, it should have wear characteristics so that their life is satisfactory. The use of space and material should be economical. The alignment of the gears and deflections of the shaft must be considered because they affect on the performance of the gears. And the lubrication of gears must be satisfactory. So these are the different requirements that we have to consider during the design of any gear drive. Okay, now let us start the design procedure. Okay, so in which beam strength of the gear teeth or the Lewis equation. So the beam strength of gear teeth is determined from an equation which is known as the Lewis equation, and the load carrying ability of the toothed gear are determined by this Lewis equation. In different investigation, it is found that Lewis assumed that the load is being transmitted from one gear to the another, and it is all given and taken by one tooth only, because it is not always safe to assume that the load is distributed among the several teeth. For the sake of simplicity, Lewis assumed that the load is transmitted by the one teeth. Now, when contact begins, the load is assumed to be at the end of the driven teeth, and as contact ceases, it is at the end of driving teeth. So this may not be true where the number of teeth in a pair of mating gear is large, because the load may be distributed among several teeth, but it is almost certain that at some time during the contact of teeth, the proper distribution of load does not exist, and that one tooth must transmit the full load. So in any pair of gears having unlike number of teeth, the gear which have the fewer teeth, and generally it may be a pinion, the pinion have the fewer teeth or the less number of teeth, will be the weaker. So because the tendency toward undercutting of the teeth becomes the more pronounced in gear as the number of teeth becomes smaller. Okay, so generally gear which have the smaller number of teeth, it may be weaker. Now here consider each tooth has a cantilever beam. Lewis assumed that each tooth has a cantilever beam. Okay, and which will be loaded by a normal load Wn. Okay, so you can see here a normal load W is applied on this tooth, or it is subjected to the normal load Wn here. Now it is resolved into the two component. This Wn, which has the two component, one is the vertical component, and this is the radial load is Wr, and this is the tangential load Wt. Okay. The tangential component Wt, it induces a bending stress. Okay, due to this Wt, it induces the bending stress which tend to break the tooth. And the radial component, this Wr, it induces the compressive stress of relatively small magnitude. So therefore its effects on the tooth may be neglected. Hence, the bending stress is used as a basis for the design calculation. Okay, so this W2 is important and is considered as a design. The critical section or the section of maximum bending stress may be obtained by drawing a parabola through point A and the tangential to the tooth curve at B and C. Okay, so this parabola, that ABC, is known as the critical section, and this parabola as shown by this dotted line. So outline a beam of uniform strength, that is, if the teeth are shaped like a parabola, so it will have the same stress at all the section, but the tooth is larger than the parabola at the every section except BC, because the tooth is larger at every section except this BC, larger than this parabola. So therefore, conclude that the section BC is the section of maximum stress, or it is the critical section. Okay, so this maximum stress will be induced at this section BC. So this section is known as the critical section. And the maximum value of the bending stress or the permissible working stress at this section BC. Okay, and the value is given by one equation, and it is, this equation is sigma W is equal to M into Y, by I, where M is maximum bending moment at the critical section BC, and that the value of this bending moment is equal to WT into H. You can see here WT, and the distance of this tangential load with this critical section is H. So this maximum bending moment is given by WT into H, where WT is the tangential load acting at the tooth, H is the length of the tooth, Y is the half the thickness of tooth T at critical section BC, and is given by T by 2, and I is the moment of inertia about the center line of the tooth, and this moment of inertia, you know that it is BT cube by 12. You know that the moment of inertia for the rectangular section is BD cube by 12. So here it is given by BT cube by 12. Now, substituting this value for M, Y, and I in this equation, okay, so you will get sigma W is equal to M is equal to WT into H, Y is equal to T by 2, and I, moment of inertia, is equal to BT cube by 12. Okay, so by simplifying this equation, you will get BWT into H into 6 divided by BT square. So from this equation, the value of WT, tangential load, is given by WT is equal to sigma W into B into T square by 6H. So value of the tangential load you can find from this equation, right? The sigma W is a permissible or the working stress, B is the face width, and T is the tooth thickness. Now let's the T is equal to X into PC, and H is equal to K into PC, where the value of thickness, okay, we assume that the value of thickness in terms of the circular pitch and value of this height in terms of the circular pitch. So this X and K, these two are the constant. Okay, so now put the value of this T and H in this equation. So WT is equal to sigma W into B into X square, T square means X square into PC square upon 6K PC is equal to here sigma W B into PC into X square by 6K. Now you can see this value X square by 6K is constant, and this value, okay, by is equal to Y. So substituting this X square by 6K is equal to Y, this is another constant. So tangential load WT is given by sigma W B PC into Y. Okay, X square upon 6K is equal to Y. Now we know that the PC, circular pitch, is equal to pi into M, where M is the module. So again, rewriting this equation, WT is equal to sigma W into B into pi M into Y. Now, this value of Y, the quantity Y is known as the Lewis form factor, or it is known as the tooth form factor. And WT, which is the tangential load acting at the tooth, okay, so it's called the beam strength of the tooth. WT is the beam strength, and Y is known as a Lewis form factor or tooth form factor. Now let us see different values of Y, standard equations of the Y. Now you can see it depends upon that angle, which is known as the phi, pressure angle, right? And the form of the tooth. So value of Y is equal to 0.124 minus 0.684 upon T for 14.5 degree composite and full depth involute system. Again, Y is equal to 0.154 minus 0.912 upon T for 20 degree full depth involute system, and Y is equal to 0.175 minus 0.841 by T for 20 degree stub system, where T is the number of teeth of gear or pinion. Okay. Now, permissible working stress for gear teeth in the Lewis equation. So the permissible working stress, that is the sigma W in the Lewis equation, it depends upon the material for which an allowable static stress may be determined. So the allowable static stress is the stress at the elastic limit of the material, and it is also called the basic stress. So in order to account for the dynamic effect which become more severe as the pitch line velocity increases, the value of sigma W is reduced. So according to the Barth formula, the permissible working stress is given by this equation. Sigma W is equal to sigma O into CV, where this sigma O is the allowable static stress and CV is known as the velocity factor. Okay, again CV is the one factor. Okay, this is known as the velocity factor. Now let us see the value of the velocity factor. Okay, so that value of the velocity factor depends upon the pitch line velocity. So you can see here the different equations. CV is equal to 3/3 plus V for ordinary cut gears operating at velocity up to 12.5 meter per second. CV is equal to 4.5/4.5 plus V for carefully cut gears operating at velocities up to 12.5 meter per second. CV is equal to 6/6 plus V for very accurately cut and ground metallic gears operating at velocities up to 20 meter per second. And CV is equal to 0.75/0.75 plus root V for precision gears cut with high accuracy and operating at velocities up to 20 meter per second. And CV is equal to 0.75/1 plus V plus 0.25 for non-metallic gears. Now here you have to remember that this V is the pitch line velocity in meter per second. Okay, so always you have to take the value of this V in meter per second, not mm per second. If it is given in mm per second, then you have to convert it into the meter per second. Now, dynamic tooth load. So velocity factor was used to make the approximate allowance for the effect of dynamic loading. So dynamic loads are, which are the different regions due to the dynamic loads are acting, and the different reasons are that is the inaccuracies of tooth spacing, irregularities in tooth profile, and deflection of teeth under load. So due to these three reasons, the dynamic load may be induced. Now, the dynamic load WD, it is denoted by WD, is given by WT plus WI, where WT is the tangential load and WI is known as the incremental load. Okay, or increment load due to the dynamic action, right? So this increment load WI, it depends upon the pitch line velocity, the face width, material of the gears, the accuracy of cut, and the tangential load. So for average conditions, the dynamic load is determined by using the Buckingham equation. So the Buckingham equation here, the dynamic load WD is equal to WT plus WI, and value of WI is given by, here you can see this is the equation for the increment load. Okay, and it is given by 21V into bracket B into C plus WT by 21V plus root BC plus WT, where this WD is the total dynamic load in Newton, WT is the steady transmitted load, B is the pitch line velocity in meter per second, B is the face width in mm, and the C is the important and is the deformation or the dynamic factor, and the unit of the C is Newton per mm. Okay, so there are some standard dynamic factors values are there is given in the design data book. So we have to find that value of deformation factor from the design data book. Now, equation is, you can find the value of C or the deformation factor, okay, by using this equation, and is given by K into E by 1 upon EP plus 1 upon EG. Okay, where this K, value of this K is factor depending upon the form of the teeth. Okay, so value of K is equal to 0.107 for 14.5 degree full depth involute system, 0.111 for 20 degree full depth involute system, 0.115 for 20 degree stub system, and EP is the modulus of elasticity or the Young modulus for the material of pinion in Newton per mm square, and EG is the Young modulus for the material of gear in Newton per mm square, and E is the tooth error action in millimeter. Okay, so that tooth error action you can find from the design data book, and the maximum allowable tooth error in action, it depends upon the pitch line velocity V and the class of cut of the gear. So from the design data book, we can find the value of P, tooth error action, according to the value of V and class of cut of the gears. Now, static tooth load. A static tooth load, it is also called the beam strength or the endurance strength of the tooth, is obtained by the Lewis formula by substituting the flexor endurance limit or the elastic limit stress sigma E instead of sigma W. Okay. So the static tooth load or the beam strength of the tooth is given by, here replace the sigma W by sigma E. Okay. So WS static tooth load is given by sigma E into B into PC into Y, and PC is equal to pi into M. So WS is equal to sigma E B pi M into Y. So for the safety against the tooth breakage, the static load WS, it should be greater than the dynamic load. So the Buckingham, it suggests the relation between the WS and WD. So for the steady load, WS, it should be greater than or equal to 1.5 WD. For the pulsating load, the WS, it should be greater than or equal to 1.35 WD. And for the shock load, the value of WS, it should be greater than or equal to 1.5 WD. Okay, so for the safety against the tooth breakage, always the static load, it should be greater than the dynamic load. Now for steel, this flexor endurance limit, that is the value of sigma E, it is the endurance limit. It may be obtained by using the relation 1.75 into DHN, okay, in megapascal, Brinell hardness number. So sigma is given by this equation 1.75 into Brinell hardness number of this particular material. Now, next one is the wear tooth load. So the maximum load that gear teeth can carry without the premature wear depends upon the radius of curvature of the tooth profile and on the elasticity and surface fatigue limits of the materials. So the maximum or the limiting load for the satisfactory wear of gear teeth is obtained by using the Buckingham equation. And that equation is WW, that is the WW is the wear load, is given by dP into B into Q into K, where WW is the maximum or limiting load for wear in Newton. dP is the pitch circle diameter of the pinion. Okay. Now here you have to consider the pitch circle diameter of pinion only. B is the face width of the pinion. Q is the ratio factor, and this ratio factor is depends upon the velocity ratio or the gear ratio. And value of the key Q is given by 2 into VR upon VR plus 1. Okay. In terms of number of teeth, it is given by 2 into Tg upon Tg plus Tp for the external gears. And Q is equal to 2 into Vr upon Vr minus 1 is equal to 2 Tg upon Tg minus Tp for internal gears. And the velocity ratio Vr is equal to Tg by Tp. And the K, this K is a load stress factor. It is also known as the material combination factor in Newton per mm square. And value of K is given by this equation, sigma ES square sin phi upon 1.4, 1 upon EP plus 1 upon EG, where sigma ES is the surface endurance limit, phi is the pressure angle, and as we know that the EP and EG are the Young modulus of pinion and gear respectively. So the value of this sigma ES, that is the surface endurance limit, is given by this equation. Sigma ES is equal to 2.8 into BHN is hardness minus 70 Newton per mm square. So the maximum limiting wear load WW must be greater than the dynamic load for the safety of the gear. This wear load, it must be greater than its dynamic load. Now, the cause of gear tooth failure, or we can say the mode of the tooth failure. So there are different 5 types of the failures: bending failure, pitting failure, scoring, abrasive wear, and corrosive wear. Okay. So first is the failure due to the bending stress, and it is known as the breakage. Now you can see when the gear tooth is subjected to the tangential load. Okay. So every gear tooth, it acts as a cantilever. So if the total repetitive dynamic load acting on the gear tooth is greater than its beam strength of the gear tooth, then this gear tooth will fail in bending, or it will be break. Okay. So how can we prevent or avoid such type of the failure? So in order to avoid such failure, the module and face width of the gear is adjusted so that the beam strength is greater than dynamic load. Okay, so proper module and face width should be adjusted to avoid such type of the failure. Second one is the pitting. What is the meaning of the pitting? Now you can see here, these are the pitting. Okay, so it is the surface fatigue failure which occurs due to the many repetitive Hertz contact stress, and this failure occurs when the surface contact stress is higher than the endurance limit, okay, of the material. And the failure starts with the formation of pits. You can see small pits will be formed. You can see here the different small pits will be formed here, right? So it starts with the small formation of pits which continue to grow, resulting in the rupture of the tooth surface, right? Here you can see this gear, initial micro pitting after the 20 hours, then it will be increased, then it will convert it into the macro pitting, then it will be abrasive wear. Okay, so in this way, this gear may be failed. And now in order to avoid this pitting, the dynamic load between the gear tooth, it should be less than the wear strength of the gear tooth. So this is known as a pitting. Next one is the scoring. The excessive heat is generated when there is an excessive surface pressure, high speed, or supply of lubricants may be failed. So it is a stick slip phenomenon in which the alternate searing and welding take place rapidly at high speed. And this type of the failure can be avoided by properly designing the parameters such as speed, pressure, and proper flow of the lubricants, so that the temperature at the rubbing face is within the permissible limit. Now you can see here there are 3 types of the scoring. Initial scoring, you can see here, and this is the destructive scoring, you can see here, and finally the moderate scoring. Okay, so in which the gear teeth may be failed. Next one is the abrasive wear. When these foreign particles in the lubricant, such as dirt, dust, or the burr, enter between the tooth and it damages the form of the tooth. Okay, so you can see here, this is the abrasive wear due to the foreign particle. You can see this form of the tooth due to the abrasive wear or the core. Okay, so this type of this failure can be avoided by providing the filters for the lubricating oil, or by using the high viscosity lubricant oil, which enables the formation of thicker oil film, and hence it permits the easy passage of such particle without damaging the gear surface. So this abrasive wear is due to the foreign particles like the dust and present in the lubricating oil. Then next one is the corrosive wear. Okay, so the corrosion of the tooth surface is mainly caused due to the presence of the corrosive elements such as additives present in the lubricating oils. So how can we avoid such type of the corrosive wear? So in order to avoid this wear, this type of the wear, the proper anti-corrosive additives should be used. Okay, anti-corrosive additive should be used to avoid the such type of the corrosive wear, right? So now stop here, and in our next lecture we will solve the different examples for this per gear. So thank you very much.